He's not a shy dog, this dog.
You're a good boy. Yeah, you are.
Mm-hmm. But it's time for you to go home with your dad. He's probably looking for you by now. It's a cold November morning, the day before the election. I need to drain the coolant from the Willys radiator, and of course the jack stand that I'm using to support it is right in the way of the coolant, so I'm hoping to jack it up a little bit and then see if that will help me move the jack stand and drain the radiator. We'll see. Well, I identified what I think are the two bolts that held the heater in. One of them sheared right off, the other one unscrewed, and I think we're about to find that the heater's on the floor. Yes. Okay. Well, heater wiring's going black and red. We gotta assume that the black's the ground and the red is the power. Well, I suppose the smart thing to do before I start pulling hoses is to figure out the hose configuration. So the one that blew out comes from the water pump, essentially, and the one that's not yet blown out comes from the block. I now have a little door wedge that I configured for this purpose. So the one that's blown out would be on the passenger side at the bottom when it's reinstalled, and the one that's not blown out, the feed from the block, is to the bottom left or driver's side. I sheared this bolt. Don't know if I could Part of my OCD has to do with trying to organize all these little plastic containers that are randomly full of things that I've stuffed away. So yesterday, given the weather and given the tension around what was going on, I decided I was going to sit here and sort stuff out and start to label things, so that finally in the shop, instead of searching through these plastic drawers all the time looking for something, I can actually have them labeled and figure out that I can just walk to certain bits and pieces. So it's starting to work out a little bit. Well, as is usually the case with these sorts of things, it's much later in the day, and we can see that this heater may come apart. I mean, obviously the machinery has to be fitted in there somehow. Okay, apparently I don't even know how to swap ends on the screwdriver. Well, I get to play with fire for a minute. Well, I was able to remove the heater and remove the core from the heater, etc., etc., and it turns out that I think this vehicle has a flush connection right there. So a cooling system flush connection. So if I were to put this hose and this hose together, I would bypass what would be a heating system. Well, we're filling up this radiator heater core, and it's coming out with some really nasty stuff. Don't know if I should be putting it in one or the other or both. Just don't have a clue here. But down in the sink is some ugly, ugly fluid. Well, it's full of hot water from the laundry room sink. It seems to be warm in all the right places. I know that this is a bad idea. All right, round two. Yeah, that'll do it. Oh, that was good. Why is my hair all wet, you might ask, if you haven't been paying attention to the first of these videos. Not sure if I got that not way in or not. So we're going to do it again. Forward the camera. Zeroed out. 5 pounds, 9.10. Now it was 9.15 a few minutes ago, but 5 pounds, 9.10 ounces.